Do you have a hopeful future about affordable housing in the state of Washington? That is a question I have been asking myself lately on my passion for affordable housing and attainable home ownership, and just the phrase affordable housing I don't think is one I will be using as much anymore. And here's why. Because what is affordable is actually incredibly different for anybody, and including at different points in their lives. And so what is affordable based on the situations is entirely too vague for me to say, here's an affordable house, because that could mean anything. Also, we have an entire generation of renters on our hands who understand that the rental market is getting out of hand. And so what they need instead of just housing or a roof over their heads at a probably too much of a rate anyway, is actually more attainable options for home ownership. Home ownership is the number one vehicle for building wealth for the middle class. And that's, I would say, just most of us. That's just the baseline. That's what we're given here with property value always increasing over time. I mean, here in Washington, more so than the national average. And investing in home ownership anywhere is wise, simply because of the value that you get over time. The option to build equity is inherent in the ownership process. And without access to that, with only focusing on affordability or housing units, we're not focusing on the overall need of the person and the community, and part of that, a sustainable community and family and neighborhood and connection with each other is access to equity. And that's going to be my focus, is like, what does it actually take? The bottom price point of affordability is going to be different for different people. But how can more people get home ownership options? Over the next couple years, there could be bills that actually press cities to diversify their types of housing. Right now, we see a lot of towns and cities that have, overpriced single bedroom apartment, or like $3 million mansion. And that can change if cities invest more in developing multiple types of housing. We've seen Port Townsend and Port Angeles talk about cottage housing and tiny houses on wheels as like zoned residential things to diversify neighborhoods. And there's a lot of pros and cons to that I would like to bring more light to and do more research in myself. So I have a very hopeful outlook on the future of middle housing in Washington, and I think that affordability will come along with diversification of housing, because we have a diverse population of needs. And like I said, even over the lifetime of one person, that can change dramatically. So what we always need more of, I think, are options and access points. And ownership gives people the opportunity to build generational wealth. And that's how we start to change these cultural, societal level of disparities that we've seen when it comes to housing and wealth and poverty and wealth for a diversity of people. So yeah, follow along with me and help me build community and integrated community across Washington. I care very much about this and hope to see Washington and the rest of the country change when it comes to being more unique with the types of housing we can do, and more emphasizing ownership over just rental or housing.